Visions, I've seen it in my manifestation. I'm sleeping this guy and gonna create the most viral knockout ever.
We're sparring.
That's what we need.
We're sparring.
Warm up.
Some
I know
8-year-olds.
one thing.
I got
If
the 8-year-olds in there.
If I find out anything, I'm gonna beat your ass, and I'm gonna beat Jaden Love. On my mama, I'm gonna beat both of y'all ass.
For them.
Will it impact Tank's legacy if Jake Paul were like to beat him or even like knock him out?
Dude, Tank's a 3-division world champion, a 4-time 3-division world champion. At the end of it, bro, you can't take anything away from him.
Gervonta Davis recently lashed out after Jake Paul allegedly claimed he would knock Davis out within just 3 rounds. A bold statement that has added more fire to an already heated buildup. Many boxing experts believe this fight could heavily impact Davis's reputation, as it's unusual for a boxer of his caliber to take on someone with Paul's limited background. A loss, they say, would raise serious doubts. However, if Davis manages to overcome Jake's hype, power, and size advantage, the victory would be unforgettable. A defining moment that could shape how fans remember his legacy forever.
I think Davis is more to lose because he's the bona fide world champion. I don't care if he's much smaller. I think Jake Paul has sort of plateaued as far as where his boxing is concerned. It's rather low level. He's big, he's physical, he's strong, he can hit. So there is that risk. Davis, at lightweight, you're in a moment where it's too physical for you. You can clinch. Against the heavyweight, where you clinching? You ain't getting out of that corner just clinching anymore if you run out of space. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. But Davis, listen, there's a lot of talking points that I'm sure we'll get into when this gets closer to the fight. Davis can still punch at lightweight. Can he drop a heavyweight? There's a lot to gain there, right? If Davis knocks,
the answer is yes.
If Davis drops Jake on his ass, as much as Davis is the one with more to lose, it's still a highlight moment.
A visual that will stay forever.
Yeah, but if you get dropped, even if you're smaller, you're still a world champion in multiple weight classes. If you get dropped, what's the look? What's the feel? On the inside, as boxers, me and Chris Algieri, the champ, even you, Jimmy, you have fight experience, so we know that the risk is a big guy that big hits you. You're probably going down if you're a small guy if he hits you clean. So we know the risk, but how does it look to the public eye who don't understand that? You know what I mean? The public. So there is a lot to lose, though. There's a bit to gain. I wouldn't necessarily have an issue with this had Davis's career arc been one that benefited boxing. Davis was manufactured and put into a position where he's supposed to benefit boxing, and I don't think he has. I think he's hurt boxing. So by giving him this reward, that's my problem. Why are we watching this? Why don't you make him earn his spot that he still hasn't earned?
Jake Paul has turned up the pressure, boldly declaring that he'll deliver the knockout of the year when he faces Gervonta Davis. He clearly isn't treating this like a routine match. He wants a moment that dominates headlines and proves his worth. His confident statements show he views this fight as his chance to silence doubters, shock the world, and carve his name into boxing history. By aiming for a spectacular knockout, Paul is betting not only on his power, but also on his ability to create a show, framing this clash as something bigger than just winning or losing.
Fighters, because this thing is going to be watched by hundreds of millions globally. Jake, give the people one thing that you can guarantee that they're going to get on November 14th when they tune in to Netflix.
Yeah, you're gonna see the 2 biggest fighters in America go head-to-head with an amazing card. World championship fights back to back to back, and that's just how the MVP way we do it. And I'm gonna come for a knockout of the year again. I've seen it in my visions, I've seen it in my manifestation. I'm sleeping this guy and gonna create the most viral knockout ever.
Rolly Romero has shared his opinion on what it would mean if Jake Paul actually managed to knock out Gervonta Davis. According to Romero, such a loss wouldn't damage Tank's legacy in any serious way. He reminded fans that Davis is already a 3-division world champion and one of boxing's most respected fighters. In his interviews and social media clips, Romero emphasized that a single loss, even by knockout, can't erase years of dominance, championship titles, and accomplishments across multiple weight classes.
Bro, you can't be mad at somebody for doing what they feel is best for them.
Will it impact Tank's legacy if Jake Paul were like to beat him or even like knock him out?
Dude, Tank's a 3-division world champion, 4-time 3-division world champion. At the end of it, bro, you can't take anything away from him. Bro, you can't be mad at somebody for doing what they feel is best for them. It's the same way Roach feels Tank is the best option for him. Same way that Stevenson thinks Tank's the best option for him, or like all that stuff, right? At the end of it, bro, we just want to do what's best for ourselves, right?
Facts.
Right or wrong.
Facts.
So just do what's best for you.
Romero continued his grounded take on the upcoming Jake Paul vs. Gervonta Tank Davis fight, saying that no matter the outcome, Tank's place in boxing history is already secure. Davis has multiple division titles and a long list of achievements that speak for themselves. Romero added that Davis doesn't need this fight to prove anything, but he acknowledged that Paul's size advantage is real and gives him a physical edge. Still, he believes that even with the size difference, nothing can take away what Tank has already accomplished inside the ring.
Too big for him, but like Jake Paul might be too big for him, or Tank might crack him. You don't know. Like I said, like, or it's an exhibition. We don't know if they throw at each other or not, or we don't know. I don't know. I can't give an opinion because I don't know what's going on.
Do you think it impacts, like, will it impact Tank's legacy if Jake Paul were, like, to beat him or even, like, knock him out?
Dude, Tank's a 3-division world champion, 4-time 3-division world champion. At the end of it, bro, you can't take anything away from him.
Daniel Cormier was clearly shocked when he found out that Gervonta Davis agreed to fight Jake Paul. In a recent clip, Cormier called the matchup ridiculous, saying it looked like a mismatch, and questioning why a high-level professional like Tank would even entertain such a bout. He admitted he never imagined someone of Davis's stature would take this path into a crossover fight. Cormier also expressed concern over the size and power differences between the two, wondering if the whole spectacle could overshadow the integrity of Davis's boxing career.
I swear to God, I was on a plane coming home from Las Vegas. When Luis told me Gervonta Davis is fighting Jake Paul, I said, get the bleep out of here. I said, you're a bleep liar. Jake Paul is fighting Gervonta Tank Davis. There's one problem. He fights at 135 pounds. Gervonta Davis is that much better than Jake Paul at boxing. But Gervonta Davis in his last fight weighed 133.8 pounds. And I'm not over here in the business of just crapping on Jake Paul. I am much more respectful of what he's starting to build as a professional boxer. You're fighting a guy that's better than you. He's just much smaller. But that guy, because he's better than you, what if he wins? Everything Jake Paul has done is wiped completely out. Gervonta Davis loses to Jake Paul. Obviously, it's going to hurt who Gervonta Davis is. But he lost to a guy that's going to be upwards of 70 pounds bigger than him when he steps into the boxing ring. But I will tell you this right now, without a shadow of a doubt. I will watch this. Tank Davis is 30-0-1. You want to talk about Jake Paul fighting a real boxer? That's a real boxer. You can't make this stuff up, man. It's true. They're fighting.
KSI has also voiced criticism of these influencer-style boxing events,
and
saying they focus more on hype and entertainment than on true athletic competition. In one of his recent videos, he accused Jake Paul of damaging the credibility of influencer boxing, arguing that Paul's promotional tactics often twist narratives just to grab attention, rather than highlight real boxing skill or sportsmanship.
AJ and Jake was never gonna happen.
I didn't.
Really?
Yeah.
You thought it was actually gonna happen? Bro, it's so crazy. Like, I feel like so many people just believe everything online.
But that's pretty unbelievable on the other hand.
I feel like I know, well, okay, how do I say it like this? Itoma versus White. I had a lot of people bet on White winning. And I'm there like, you guys don't watch boxing, do you? You just look at a record and go, oh, Dylan's fought many more people than Itoma. That record says a lot. Itoma's like 18, not 18, Itoma's 20, inexperienced, one. Like, I just knew Itoma was gonna just destroy him. And I think a good fight for Itoma would be him and Wilder.
Boxing journalist Gareth A. Davies has raised serious concerns about the upcoming Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis fight, calling it another case of boxing valuing spectacle over substance. He pointed out that the large weight gap and the exhibition-style nature of the event compromise the fairness and competitive integrity the sport is built on. Davies admitted that while the fight will attract massive attention and generate huge profits, it could also weaken boxing's reputation as a legitimate and balanced sport.
Signed. I think we've gone out of the frying pan and into the fire because we thought we were going to get Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua very soon. We'll speak to Frank Smith about that in the next section, obviously. Eddie Hearn was teasing it to me personally last week. £80 million on the table for Anthony Joshua to fight Jake Paul. But 8 inches in height difference, 7 weight divisions between them, 5 stone, 70 pounds between them. It's a joke. It's a circus fight as opposed to a disgrace of a fight, which was Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul. At least you feel in this you've got quite a poor, very big one against a pound-for-pound, brilliant, unbeaten little un. And the little un who'll come up to his navel will hit him with a lot of body shots. I said in the week to Danny Kelly and Charlie Brooker that, do I mean Charlie Brooker? No, Baker. Charlie Baker. That Charlie Brooker's a different person altogether. That he'll be throwing the Superman punch, the leaping left hook. It's going to be a very odd thing. It's called, in inverted commas, an exhibition bout. But everybody in boxing who is a name doesn't mind going in with Jake Paul because they know they're making millions of dollars. And that's the only reason that Gervonta Davis, who's being called the poison little elf by Jake Paul, and it'll be fun in the build-up. Everybody in boxing knows they're guaranteed to make millions of those silverbacks, those greenback notes that they give out in America, and they give them out for fun when Jake Paul fights. So he's not going to say no to it. But can you pick a winner in that fight?
Tank has openly discussed several concerns he has about facing Jake Paul as fight night approaches. He's repeatedly mentioned Paul's punching power, saying he needs to feel firsthand just how hard Jake can hit. He's also wary of Paul's height, reach, and the way he uses those advantages, factors Davis hasn't dealt with in past fights. Tank has acknowledged that Paul's unorthodox movement and mental resilience have thrown off other opponents, and he knows he'll need to adapt. Still, Davis insists that on November 14th he'll rise to the occasion and bring his full skill set to the ring. Supporters of the fight say it represents the evolution of boxing for a younger generation. They argue that Jake Paul's background in social media and entertainment has introduced millions of new fans to the sport, people who might never have watched boxing before. Paul's influence has created a bridge between pop culture and athletic competition. Meanwhile, Gervonta Davis remains admired for being raw, authentic, and unapologetic. Qualities that resonate with younger fans tired of overly polished personas in sports.
Been 4 years in the making, when a fairly novice Jake Paul made a wish list of future opponents, and right in the middle of that list was Gervonta Tank Davis. Many laughed at the time, and some still can't believe we're here. But these two young men are the face of boxing for Gen Z and Gen Alpha. They are the 2 biggest boxers in America, and they're putting it all on the line. One has the speed, the skill, the accuracy, and the one-punch knockout power. The other has the size, the force, and the unbreakable confidence to make this must-see Netflix.
Does Jake Paul have that concerns you?
What concern me? His power. Gotta test his power. Gotta test his just everything, to be honest. I never been in the ring with Jake, so I could say a lot, but when it comes down to November the 14th, I gotta be in there with him. I gotta be able to, his arm reach, his size, his power, the way he moving and things like that. I just gotta adapt, as I fight him coming.
Nikisa Bidarian, co-founder of Most Valuable Promotions, has confidently addressed concerns about Jake Paul's size advantage over Gervonta Davis. He insists that physical size alone won't decide this fight, pointing out that Paul only needed a heavier catchweight due to his relative inexperience. Bidarian also revealed that the matchup between Paul and Davis wasn't a sudden idea. It had been considered long before, especially after a planned Canelo-Alvarez fight fell through. He claims Davis himself had been interested in fighting Paul for years, and once the Canelo deal collapsed, the path to this matchup became clear.
Bro, Jake and Tank are gonna happen November 14th.
Whatever weight they want, man, they're talking about it, and whatever it is, it's gonna be a definitive outcome. People can talk about pro, exhibition. We're gonna make sure this is as real as it's real.
Why was it, just out of curiosity, why is it not a professional bout and why is it an exhibition? Because I'm sure Jake would have taken the professional bout.
Nothing's been communicated as yet in terms of what it is, right? Similar to, if you remember, with Paul Tyson, when we announced it, we didn't have the weight, we didn't have the rules, particularly in terms of the number of rounds, the minutes, the gloves. It's gonna be the same thing here.
Gotcha. Can you just offer us any insight as to how these negotiations went? And the reason I ask is because I remember back in March, I was at Tank's fight, and after his fight in his press conference, he was asked, next opponent. He said, well, my next opponent might have been in my locker room tonight. And people asked him, was it Jake? He made reference, he made allusion to. Has this been an ongoing thing? And has it ever, been at a point where it wasn't gonna happen and came back, or was this always the plan?
Always been the plan for Jake to fight Tank once Canelo didn't happen. And to Tank's credit, he's a real bad dude, and he's been calling out Jake for 3 years. And people, it's funny how now they're saying size matters, Jake is big, when for so long it's been Tank would kill Jake Paul. Now you get to see if that's real. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Bidarian further explained that while Jake Paul is naturally heavier, taller, and has a longer reach than Gervonta Davis, Tank's superior skill and experience make a huge difference. Davis has been a top-tier professional for more than a decade, dominating the lightweight division with multiple world titles, a near-perfect record, and a reputation for explosive knockouts. His adaptability, speed, and timing have made him one of the most dangerous fighters in the sport. Critics online have accused Davis of chasing a big payday instead of facing top-ranked opponents. They argue that the Paul fight is more about money than competition. However, many others disagree, saying this criticism ignores everything Davis has already achieved. His undefeated record, multiple titles, and victories over elite fighters. They believe labeling him as avoiding challenges unfairly overlooks his proven record and dedication.
You don't ever fight no Shakur Stevenson, no Keyshawn Davis, no Teofimo Lopez, no, none of them dudes. You know what I'm talking about? We gotta think and look at Tank Davis's whole career. He done made some bread, but at the end of the day, all that bread that he made, when it's all said and done, he ain't gonna get no respect from his peers, because we gonna look down his resume and we gonna be like, he was trash, he was some trash, he was some trash, he was all right, but he was never like that. He was okay. He was some trash, he was some trash, he ain't did nothing. Hey, that's just what it's gonna be at the end of the day.
Those criticisms don't account for the foundation Davis has already built. He's captured multiple world titles, stayed undefeated, and delivered countless highlight reel knockouts. Choosing a big-money fight now doesn't erase his years of hard work or diminish his legacy. In today's boxing world, where entertainment, media presence, and showmanship often carry as much weight as belts, there are different paths to greatness. Jake Paul, on the other hand, claims that championship titles don't define him. He believes his real contribution lies in how he's transformed the sport. Paul has broken viewership records, sold massive pay-per-view events, and drawn millions of new eyes to boxing by blending it with entertainment
and fellow Brooklynite, Mr. Mike Tyson. How are you today?
He's even beaten big names like former UFC
I'm great. It's really great to see you again. Last time I saw you, it was at Fanatics Fest.
Sanctioned fights, achievements that some fans say go beyond traditional belt chasing. When offered an honorary WBA belt, Paul turned it down, saying he didn't want a title handed to him. He wants to earn every piece of recognition the hard way.
They'll never give me credit until I have the World Championship belt, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. But belts collect dust, and what I've done in the sport is unprecedented. never will be replicated, and done it in such a short amount of time, just getting warmed up. They're not going to give me credit, but I don't need the credit from these bozos, to be honest. The credit's in my bank account.
Jake Paul has already begun looking past Gervonta Davis, recently naming Anthony Joshua as his next target. The announcement sent shockwaves through the boxing community. Many dismissed it as unrealistic, while others admired his ambition, given Joshua's heavyweight status, Olympic background, and physical dominance. Most insiders believe Paul would be outmatched, but his bold call-out fits the same pattern he's followed all along, chasing big names to cement his place in the sports spotlight.
One, anytime, any place, against all odds. And I like my odds. First, I'm gonna kill David. Then I will go on to slaughter Goliath. Okay, so you have to think that the last one, first I'm gonna kill David, referring to Gervonta Davis, and then he's gonna go on and slay Goliath, referring to Anthony Joshua.
Yeah, and
he's gonna go and fight a 140er, and then move up 135er, and then move up and fight a heavyweight.
So the lowest he's been, I went through all the fights. For his first two fights, his first two pro fights, he was 175. Now this is all the way back in 2020 against Nate Robinson. Since then, the lowest he's been, as you said, was like the 185 around the Nate Diaz fight, and also for Tommy Fury. I wonder if Jake can get down to that weight anymore. But regardless of Jake's weight, I can't fathom how Tank Davis would be anywhere in the realm of what he would be. Like, it just, he won't even be in earshot of what Jake Paul is going to be.
So what do you think? Is this fight a smart career move for Gervonta Davis, or a risky gamble that could change everything?